According to the CDC, 1 in 68 children are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorders. Of those children, between 70 to 90% will have trouble with feeding.
Recent research has shown children with autism are 5 times more likely to have eating difficulties compared to their typically developing peers.
Common feeding problems that children with autism face may be hypersensitivity to textures, taste, or temperature, or challenging behaviors during structured mealtimes.
This is Trip. Trip has autism. To get a first-hand account of what it's like raising a child with feeding issues, we interviewed his parents.
Well, our number one feeding issue with Trip is that he has very limited food that he'll actually eat.
What's generally known as picky eater.
Because what we do with most of his food that he will eat is kind of HIDE things in it, so that he doesn't realize he's eating them. Trip, do you want a cookie?
I don't.
Trip, do you want some mashed potatoes? So there's no rhyme or reason to what he eats. We haven't figured it out. It's not necessarily a texture thing. It's not like you can say, well, if you like this crunchy food, you might like this crunchy food. No! I'd rather do the trial and error here at home or at his grandparents' house or in a controlled environment, because if we do it somewhere public, well, that will trigger a meltdown, and then it's, chaos until he calms down. So.
Patience. Gotta be patient. You gotta keep trying things.
They just wish all the other parents good luck. And we're doing it too.
If these struggles are something that your household faces, you are not alone. All kids with autism are different, and it may take trying different strategies until you find the one that works for you.
Many children with autism have limited preference of the types of food he or she is willing to eat. Take this sandwich, for example. All of these different textures together are overwhelming for some children with autism to stomach. Here are some tips to work through those problems with your child.
Start simple. Expose your child to one type of texture at a time and gradually add in new, different textures, tastes, or temperatures. Encourage your child to play with food. Playing with food allows them to touch and experience the different textures in an entertaining way. This will allow your child to associate the once scary food to having fun. Also, giving your child choices between 2 foods may give them autonomy during mealtime, making them feel more in control.
Along with hypersensitivity, some children may display challenging behaviors during mealtime. Here are some tips to reduce the amount of challenging behaviors that your child might exhibit.
Positive reinforcement is a successful way to reduce challenging behaviors. Take this star chart for example. A star chart may be a helpful visual representation of positive reinforcement. Children may benefit from a visual of their behavior where they lose a star for bad behavior and have to get the star back to earn a reward.
Praise may also be reinforcing to your child. A simple great job or yay goes a long way.
Some children benefit from having a toy to play with during feeding times. It is important to use a toy as a reinforcement to eat their food rather than a distraction.
It can be overwhelming to face these problems on your own. Many families turn toward feeding therapy with a speech-language pathologist. We interviewed expert feeding therapist Margaret Reed to get some tips from a professional.
Many families of children with autism report that family dinner time is a real challenging time for them. So one thing that I recommend is that parents separate homework feeding time from family dinner time. So feeding homework can be the place where the bulk of your practice and your goals takes place, and then you can carry over the skills and the successes from that feeding homework time and bring that to family dinner time and highlight those successes at family dinner. For example, if John has been licking green beans and he's been very successful during feeding homework time and he can lick green beans 10 or 20 times in a row, then you say, okay, John, I want you to lick green beans 3 times at dinner time. And that way he can be successful, because you are changing some other things. You're adding more people, you're changing the environment, so it's going to be a little harder for him. But you're going to give him a number that he can be successful with, and then everybody at the table gets to celebrate his success.
We hope that you can relate to this information and found this video informative. Our main message to parents is that you are not alone. Feeding can be stressful with children who have autism and for their families.
Here are some helpful resources for further information.